Hi, this is Jane. Thank you so much for joining me. For this reading, I've decided to read for this week's full moon. The full moon is coming on Thursday, July 10th. Now, why read for a full moon? Well, because the lunar cycle really, not only is it interesting, it's very interesting to me, but it also affects our life on Earth a lot. I did some research this morning, went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because I just found it fascinating. And I looked on the Natural History Museum website, the one that's in the UK. And I found out that not only does the full moon and the cycle of the moon affect our tides in the ocean and at the seashore, which I knew because the gravitational pull kind of pulls the water out and pushes it back in. But it also affects a lot of animals and insects and their behavior and habits. Did you know that the full moon triggers the mass spawning of corals on the Great Barrier Reef? I didn't. And dung beetles, not my favorite insect to talk about, but they use the polarization of the moonlight, and polarization means this. The moonlight is really just reflected sunlight, right? And that's often not polarized. But when the moonlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, it interacts with molecules and other particles, and then the light scatters and is polarized, meaning that the light waves oscillate primarily in one direction. And that's what sunlight is, it's polarized light. And so the dung beetles use this polarized moonlight to drag their dung balls back to their burrows in a straight line. If the light is not polarized, they end up going in circles and they're far more vulnerable to predators, meaning to being eaten. Isn't that way cool? And other birds migrate and navigate with the full moon. It's really fascinating. Now, I don't know a whole lot about astrology. I know just a teeny tiny bit. I have a lot of colleagues who know much more than I do. But one thing I do know about the full moon is that it is the peak of the lunar cycle. The lunar cycle begins with the new moon, which was about 2 weeks ago, right? And then we come around to the full moon, and now we're at its peak. And a lot of people feel affected by the full moon. If you know anybody who works in an emergency room or in a psych ward, they'll tell you people get a little crazy around the full moon. But it's a time from an astrology standpoint and kind of like a metaphysical standpoint, it's a time of release, releasing that which no longer serves you and just kind of letting stuff go. So I thought this is a really cool time to do a tarot reading, right? And to ask our angels what we need to know. So for Thursday, July 10th, this next full moon, the card I pulled was Seven of Water. And water is the suit of emotion. Well, kind of makes sense for a full moon, right? And this particular card means it's time to make a choice. You've been overanalyzing something, overthinking something. There's an important choice you need to make, and you need to make it with this full moon. Well, okay, but how do we know? So typically the colors in above these cups, I'll ask a client what color calls to you, and I'll talk about what that color means. Well, so for this reading, because I'm reading for general, right, not for one particular person, I asked for colors. And what I got was purple and then the dark blue. And those are colors that talk about psychic abilities. But for general, what I'm feeling that the angels are telling us is that we need to listen to our intuition. We really need to let our hearts and our souls guide us in our decision making. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then I thought, you know what, let me ask about the whole weekend following, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11, 12, and 13. And so, as I do, I pulled three cards to tell the story. And guess what the first card was? The moon. The moon for the full moon. Isn't that great? This card is associated with the Archangel Haniel, which is an angel associated with psychic abilities and women's issues. And what else is kind of affected by the cycles of the moon? But fertility and menstrual cycles and all that kind of stuff that are female issues, right? But also, the moon tells us to to listen to our intuition and to let go of unnecessary worry. So there's that letting go piece of the full moon. We're worrying too much. So we're worrying over the choices we have to make, right? So let's release that. And look, I'm wearing Haniel's color, or at least the color of her robe. This color blue actually is the color for Archangel Michael, which is the color of safety and protection. So we know that we are safe in whatever decision making we get involved in. But the next card is the dreamer, which is take a leap of faith, do something new, step out from where you are, your current situation, and do something new, and know that you're safe in doing it. And then the third card is renewal. Renewal. Now, what does that picture make you feel like? Release, release. So review the past with compassion and forgiveness, a time to head in a new direction. And that underscores the dreamer. It's time for a new direction. And how do we choose that direction? I think we kind of have known coming into the full moon that there are some choices to be made and decisions to be made. And the way we make them is we listen to our intuition, we let go of things that no longer serve us, like the full moon tells us to do, and we step out, we take that leap of faith, we use that courage, and we head into our new direction, even if it's small steps. And we let go of that which no longer serves us. And all of this is all tied together in a beautiful package. Isn't that fabulous? And even the number 10 for the new moon, 10, you take the 1 and the 0 and you add them and you get 1. 1 is a new beginning. It's a time of magic. It's a time of just going for it. So this is a fabulous reading for July 10th itself and then for the following weekend. So I hope you have a great, great full moon time. In the meantime, please do visit my website, janezysk.com, JaneZysk.com, and please add me to your summer reading list, because if this fantastic reading is great for people in general, whoever's watching this video, imagine how wonderful a reading it would be for you personally, with your personal intentions and your personal questions. And thanks so much. And I hope you have a great new direction. Now let me see if I can figure out how to stop this. Bye.